If you or a person you love has a problem with drug or alcohol abuse, there are many services in the community to help you. This segment specifically will address those needs and things that you can learn in order to help yourself and others. Please stay tuned.
TCT presents Public Report, a look at the issues and events of importance to our viewing area. Now, here is your host.
Hi, I'm Valda Ford, and I have the great pleasure of having with me today Murphy Sullivan, who is the Development Director and Community Relations Director for Fellowship Hall. Welcome. So good to have you here.
Thank you for this opportunity.
So I know that drug abuse and alcohol always been around. We can go back to the Bible and see evidence of people having too much and not being able to take care of it. But in our community, with the Fellowship Hall, this has been going on long enough that you've been in place for?
Fellowship Hall was founded in 1971. We've been around 41 years. We're located off High Cone Boulevard north on Highway 29, and we've been one of the best kept secrets in Greensboro. We were started by 4 businessmen from the area who wanted a place where alcoholics and addicts could be treated with dignity and respect. Because before that time, alcoholics and addicts ended up in jails or institutions, or in Europe, they were beheaded. And so it was important for them that there was a place where they could be treated with dignity and respect, and that's why we were founded.
Yes, it's amazing how we change our attitudes about people and their behaviors, where we go from thinking that it is somehow not in their control to thinking it's completely in their control, to once again understanding that for many people with drug and alcohol abuse issues, it is sometimes a chemical imbalance. It is something that they cannot always handle, but your organization is there to help them go along that path.
Correct, and we call our guests, and they learn about that the disease of addiction to alcohol or other drugs is a disease, and and I think for many of us, we were raised that it was a moral issue, and I think that that's changed over the years, especially with more public figures that come out and talk more about the disease, and I think the stigma. The good news is the stigma is going away, and people do recognize it as a disease like diabetes or cancer, that it is treatable, it's, and it's genetic, and we see it run in families. It affects 1 in 4 families. I think for many alcoholics and addicts, we grow up thinking that, it's just our family affected by it.
It's always good when that element of education is out there. So number one, the person who is experiencing this difficulty understands that they're not alone, that many other people, as you say, 1 in 4, that is a very large number, and that there are agencies like yours that are there to help them. What makes your organization unique?
I think what makes Fellowship Hall unique is that we employ a 12-step philosophy. We employ the 12 steps of program, which the World Health Organization has shown that it's the most effective program in combating the disease of addiction to alcohol or other drugs. And so our guests learn about the 12 steps. They also are involved in the community, and we get them, they will stay with us for 21 to 28 days, sometimes longer, 90 days, and they'll learn those 12 steps while they're there.
Yes, I remember a good friend of mine who was dealing with alcohol abuse. And I know that one of the challenges she had was even getting through those steps. But every step of the way, she had someone there helping her. And it made a whole difference in the way her family could see her, in the way she could see herself. So who do you serve? What is your typical guest? Is it a person who's young, who's old, comes from a certain economic group? Is it just anyone in the community?
Well, the disease of addiction to alcohol or other drugs affects everyone in every socioeconomic level. I think a lot of us were raised with a stereotype, and that stereotype is not true. It affects everyone from, we have as young as 18 to older, in their 60s and 70s, but the average age is around 45. Men, women, alcoholics and addicts are very strong-willed individuals, and it's not about willpower, because if it was, they would have figured it out a long time ago. And so we work with them and their families. Families will come. Our program's 3 to 4 week program, and so the families will come around the third or fourth week, and they also learn that alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It affects everyone in the family, whether you're drinking or using. And so they'll see some of the same videos, and some of the same information will be given to them, and they learn how they can take care of themselves, and that there's other 12-step programs out there for them.
So you're starting off with helping the individual, I guess, one, to get past that physical addiction point, which is typically the first 3 days or so, where your body is desperately craving to get that substance that it's been using. But after then, that psychological addiction, to be able to be okay when you're yourself, to be able to have fun without being totally inebriated or to be high. Do you find that that's a real challenging part for your guests?
Well, I think of Tina Turner, and when she said, what's love got to do with it? And alcohol and drug addiction is similar to a toxic relationship, or an abusive relationship, and the betrayal that's felt, with that relationship. And, when you're done, you're done. And for a lot of folks, my enough is not your enough, and your enough is not my enough. And I think that, when you're done, you're done. And there's and obviously we believe that a higher power greater than ourselves can restore us to that sanity, and the craving will dissipate. So.
How does Fellowship Hall compare to other treatment centers?
I think one difference, for us, we're viewed as one of the most respected and successful treatment centers in the country. We're one of the grandfathers of treatment centers. We are different in that we do employ the 12-step philosophy. Bedford Center makes referrals to us, kind of like Hazelden is to Minneapolis, or Betty Ford is to Southern California. We feel that we are to the Southeast United States.
So that does indeed make you a community asset. You are, as you said, a hidden jewel. Your light is under that basket. We're not hearing so much about it, are we? Or
no, and I think a lot of that is just, it goes along with the industry, and the anonymity and of our guests, and then also to, just the stigma that's been attached to the disease. And I think now more, especially for us, we want to be more involved in the community and giving back to the community and letting our community know that we are a resource. We do employ over 100 people, and so, from an economic development, we contribute to the community too, from that point of view.
so you have the full staff, doctors, nurses, therapists, counselors, all right there on staff.
We do. We have one of the most comprehensive medical components of any treatment center in the country. We are accredited by JACO, which is an accrediting organization for hospitals.
Accreditation of hospitals. And
Correct.
care
And we're the
organizations.
first licensed specialty hospital in the state of North Carolina.
Wow.
Our license number is 0001.
It's pretty good to be number one that way.
Exactly.
To be the first, and it's sounding like pretty awesome.
Thank
so
you.
tell me, how big a problem is drug and alcohol abuse?
I think it obviously remains a significant problem in our country. More children under the age of 18 die, from this disease and the effects of this disease. As we were just talking about, families, and I think us as individuals are affected by it. We either know someone in our family or a friend or a coworker is affected by it. But the good news is that the stigma is going away, and that, I think more and more people recognize it as a disease, and that it's not that people want to live this way, that it truly is a disease, that there is a gene in our brain that if the doctors could remove it, they would, and they can't.
So your program helps them with that. So you can't get rid of it physically, but you can help with the psychological support and show them ways to do a better job of coping and getting to the next part of their lives.
Yeah, that there is a solution and the acceptance and surrender of that.
How can you help families whose loved ones, I know they come to you, but if I want to know about the program, if I just need some help, I'm feeling I'm at my wit's end, how would I contact you? How would I make a way to get started with that process for my family or for myself?
Well, we have a website. You can start there and gather information, and that's www.fellowshiphall.com. We have our phone number is 621-3381, and that's 336 area code. We have admissions counselors that are available that can talk with family. We also have, in our family program, we have a one-day family program that's open to the community on Fridays where you can come and learn more about the disease of addiction, and we serve lunch, and it's a great way to learn more about the disease.
Great. Well, I know you've been around for 41 years, but what are your future plans and how can people help you to continue with all your great work?
Well, one, we just opened up a 90-day extended treatment facility, and it's the first licensed facility in the state of North Carolina, too, and we have 6 beds for women and 6 beds for men, and the more treatment that you're able to get, especially for chronic relapsers, the better. We also, our future plans are to continue to work with Duke University and University of North Carolina. We work a lot with those 2 organizations in educating physicians on how to recognize and treat substance abuse, because it's such an issue, in our hospitals and our emergency rooms, and a lot of physicians don't recognize the disease and need more information on how to treat it. And our board of directors is so committed with working with doctors one at a time for them to learn more about this and to be able to treat it. So
I think you said something really important there, that we have to help even the specialists, even the professionals recognize it, and that takes a lot of honesty on the part of the individual and the family that sometimes is very difficult to deal with.
correct. Yes.
Well, I want to tell you that it's always unfortunate to know that we have the issue of alcohol and drug abuse, that it's been here, it's always going to be here, but we as a community can do a lot to make sure that we help the people who are there. And thank you so much for having this wonderful organization and doing all that you do.
Oh, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Well, it has been my pleasure to talk today about this very important issue in our community. And if you have someone you love that you want to get started on the right path, if you want your family to get back to being the real, wholesome, happy family you've always had, this is a great first step. Make the call, contact them, and we'll see you next time here on Valda Ford.